Hello friends, this is Dr. John WorldPeace coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the home of the ETs, the atomic bomb, and the land of enchantment and of world peace. The only global advocate for peace and world peace. This commentary today, July 4th, is entitled "The Sick Joke of a Zionist Ceasefire in Gaza or Anywhere Else in Palestine." I am the Dr. John WorldPeace JD, independent maverick candidate for President USA 2028. I'm an independent and not a Republican or a Democrat. I am also the only global advocate for peace and world peace in the world human society since Gandhi was assassinated January 30th, 1948, which was my mother's birthday. I was born 3 months later on April 24th, 1948. I came into this life with a world peace mandate from God, and I have never abandoned that mandate, even though I've lived very intense, normal, family, business, veteran life. See johnworldpeace.com. There's 43,000 pages, not paragraphs, 43,000 pages there. Everything you want to know about me, you'll find there. My credentials for the radical right, Corporate Christian Nationalists, is that I'm the only advocate for Jesus per John 14:26. God will send an advocate in my name, and he will bring to your remembrance all that I have said. Elijah said he was the only prophet of God. John the Baptist said he was a herald for the coming of the Messiah. And I say I'm the only advocate for Jesus. No one has challenged me on this since April 1988 when I changed my name to World Peace. I'm one man with one message, world peace. I have no organization but support all local and global true peace-oriented organizations and entities and nations. I live a minimalist life. I'm an independent maverick candidate for President 2028 USA. I'm the global spokesperson for all peace groups globally. No one has challenged me on this, and there's nobody else that's stuck their head up. I repeat yesterday's warning. There's going to be a God event take place at any moment in time after Trump, big MAGA, ugly bill is signed into law. It will bring down the wrath of God on Trump for undeniably not only cursing the radical liberal left message of Jesus, Matthew 25:31, but actually putting the United States government in charge of the end of American democracy and the establishment of a dictatorship for the purpose of ending the American Christian radical liberal left foundation of Christianity as stated by Jesus in Matthew 25:31 and reiterated and affirmed in the U.S. Constitution. Trump is set to meet with Netanyahu next week to talk about a ceasefire in Gaza. This is sadly laughable. Once Netanyahu has accounted for all the hostages and the ceasefire expires, he will begin his Gaza Holocaust again in full force. Evidence of this is that Netanyahu is now being pushed to annex the entire West Bank. Hitler had a saying, Germany overall, Netanyahu, the Israelis, Zionist, Israel overall. That's their mantra. Netanyahu is not going to give up the greater state of Israel determination to reclaim the entire land of ancient Israel, from which God dispossessed the Jews in 74 CE after they crucified their Messiah, Jesus, in 30 CE. In this commentary, it's critical that you understand that the Zionists reject everything in the New Testament. You just say that out loud. Their theocracy, not democracy, denies that the New Testament is nothing more than the nonsensical ravings of Christian followers of the dead Christian God Jesus. Let that sink into your reality. Try to get a Zionist to deny it. The false Christians, mostly evangelical and fundamentalists, support the Zionists up to the point when they build the third temple of Solomon, which requires that they destroy the Dome of the Rock shrine of the Muslims, which stands on the exact spot of the second temple of Solomon, which God directed the Romans to raise, wipe it down, wipe it off, not one stone on top of the other, and to eliminate the Jews from ancient Israel after they crucified Jesus. So the confused corporate Christian nationalists support the Zionists in everything they do with regards to Palestine, most especially since the Zionists occupied territory in Palestine after the 1967 war, relying on the Old Testament because the Zionists literally laugh at the New Testament of Christians and their dead God Jesus who inspired it. Ask a Jew straight up. Ask a Zionist straight up. You believe in Jesus? God said, I will establish my covenant between me and you, Abraham, and your descendants after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant to be God, to be your God, to you, and to your descendants after you. I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojourning, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. The foundational issue ignored by Zionists is that God was talking about Abraham's descendants, which includes his firstborn son Ishmael and his secondborn son Isaac. The Semitic progeny of Abraham are the Jews through Isaac and the Muslims through Ishmael. The Zionists try to claim they are the only Semitics, and therefore their Holocaust against the Muslims is not anti-Semitism, when in fact the Muslims are Semitics, and the Zionists are the most rabid anti-Semitics in the world human society, as evidenced by their Holocaust in Gaza. They cannot let enough blood to satisfy them. The Zionists who control the United States President, House, and Senate cry about anti-Semitism against the Jews in America when the most recent protests have to do with the Zionist Holocaust, a political situation, in the occupied territories. The protests are anti-Zionist, not anti-Semitic. This is just a word game the Zionists use, and the ignorant corporate Christian nationalists and Zionists spew it out. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Zionist. I am neo-Nazis, but not anti-German. I am anti-white racist, not anti-American. The world is about to explode into perpetual war. AI is about to completely revolutionize the world human society, and we're talking years, 1 or 2 at the most. But more than anything else, global warming is about to significantly decimate the world human society. And Trump has an agenda to stop all efforts to slow down climate change and go full steam ahead with the cause of anti-climate change in the name of the earth god money, black gold, oil, fossil fuels. As the world descends into chaos and chaos on steroids, the American stock market climbs through financial manipulation by the oligarchs and their politicians. And the Zionists are starving and murdering Gazans in a way that Hitler never thought possible. You cannot be a Christian of any stripe and support the Zionist Holocaust in Gaza and greenlight president since President Harry Truman to support that Gaza Holocaust abomination with bombs and interference at the United Nations, seeking justice for Muslims in Palestine and to hold the Zionists accountable for the Holocaust. Genesis 22:17, God assures Abraham that he will surely bless him and multiply his descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Genesis 16:10, the angel of the Lord said to Hagar, the mother of Ishmael, the firstborn of Abraham, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. But then the Jews crucified Jesus, the same as Cain murdered Abel, and God cursed Cain. And God cursed the Jews, and the veil in front of the temple, in front of the Holy of Holies in the temple of Solomon was torn when Jesus died, signifying that God had abandoned the Jews. Matthew 27:51, Mark 15:38, and Luke 23:45. It's repeated in 3 Gospels. There are 2 billion Muslims, 2 billion Christians, and only 15 million Jews in the world human society. So who has God blessed? Who has God cursed? The American support of Zionists over the Muslims is an abomination to God. The small number of Jews in the world human society is evidence that God abandoned them when they crucified Jesus, their Messiah. After the Jews crucified Jesus in 30 CE, God charged the Romans to raise Jerusalem and the Second Temple of Solomon and to massacre the last of the Jews at Masada and to drive the Jews out of ancient Israel. Then God rose up Muhammad and gave the Muslims ancient Israel and allowed him to build the Dome of the Rock Shrine and the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount. In the Christian Crusades between 1000 and 1250, the Christians were not able to defeat the Muslims. Whose side was God on? In the 1930s and 40s, God allowed the Nazis to exterminate 6 million Jews. If God did not allow this, who did? God's anger at the Jews was still active in World War II, but Harry Truman took the Zionist money and recognized them as a nation in 1948. And the United States has supported the Jews and the Zionists with money and bombs and protection at the UN, which was obviously against 2,000 years of God's condemnation of the Jews. There are 2 billion Muslims, repeating, there are 2 billion Muslims, 2 billion Christians, 15 million Jews in the world human society. So who has God blessed? Who has God cursed? And who is the tail wagging? Who is the dog? There's no greater acts against the will of God in Jesus than the corporate Christian nationalist support of the American Zionist Holocaust in Gaza. Current event, moving to right now. More than 1,000 earthquakes have shaken Tokura Island in the Kagoshima Prefecture in Japan since June 21st, in the last month, or last couple of weeks, in a continued period of seismic activity. For a decade, I've been saying that the rising global temperature is about to set off earthquakes and volcanoes globally, the same as when water is about to boil. The scientists say there's no evidence of this correlation, and what they mean is that they have no evidence of a global volcano apocalypse in the past. A negative God event is at the door of America and Zion. I'm not the only one who sees this coming. I am one man with one message: world peace. I'm the only advocate for Jesus per John 14:26, the only advocate for peace and world peace in the footsteps of Gandhi and the World Human Society. July 4th, Trump's about to sign the bill. I hope he doesn't. If he does, then he's obligated to do it. Look for a God event. I don't know when. But the land south of Japan is rumbling significantly. 1,000 earthquakes in the last 3 days. In the ocean. God help us.